Hello, friends watching the replay. I'm going to find this URL. This is the one thing they should put in the like studio thing, you know, like when you're, there it is. This is the one.
The share link.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, the share link, like from where you're pressing go on the stream and everything.
Yeah.
Now for weekly open with Don. Carpe. Is Luke napping?
He's probably had like a party weekend or something. That's what I'd expect from Luke anyway.
Oh, was he in Vegas with those guys?
Oh, I don't even know. Like I just made something up, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I bet he
wouldn't
was.
be surprised. Oh.
All right, I need to do one thing and then I'll be ready.
Can we not get rejected at 34.5 again?
We can and we will, and it's never going to end. This is our new hell now. We just go sideways for the next 15 years. Dude, in this range.
That is just rude.
Just gonna do this.
So rude, Don.
Have fun. Dude, this price action is so bad. I mean, if you're playing the range, you're making at least like a couple % every time. So that's something, I guess.
Dude, that line is miserable.
Yep.
That's beyond crab. There's zero chance of that happening.
Yeah, that's just flat line. That's the theft.
You're just trolling now.
Yeah. I mean, volatility soon. But I mean, could take a month or two to get there.
Volatility within a month. It was really aggressive thinking there.
A month? I think it's going to be more like 2 weeks.
Here's what we're doing. 24 and 42 are both getting hit. Okay. We'll talk about this on the show.
Oh, I like it.
I just don't know which one's first, and therefore my profitability could be really severely wrong. All right, let's press go. Fade it black. Hello, chat. Thanks for being here. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Weekly Open. Thanks for being here. We got Don. We got Josh. I'm Brian. Before we get to them, I want to tell you about Blockfolio. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. You know the drill. Make your first trade there today if you hadn't done it before. It's easy. Track your portfolio while you're at it. Zero trading fees, of course. Connect it to your bank and buy the dip or FOMO out, whichever way you want to do it. It's up to you. Thanks to Blockfolio for being our partner. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. Gentlemen, hello. Don, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Josh, how are you?
I am awake as of a few minutes ago.
It's great to hear it. It's another week inside the crab, another week of volatility being squeezed, squeezied, scrunched. Don.
Miserable.
Don, give me something to go by here other than it's about to break down.
I mean, I think like assuming that this is going to crab until it's not, it's just the safe way to go. So, I mean, I'm expecting more crab action. The one thing that I really didn't want to see, like the one thing that makes me like lean a little bit bearish right now is that we've had like a breakout into the weekend. I posted about this before and I mentioned it like on Twitter chatting with you. Yeah, that's like, when you get a breakout into like low liquidity into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that gets reversed on Monday, it's usually a really bad sign. Just means, I mean, people are just taking advantage of being able to push the market around. I I don't like it. I wouldn't want to be buying support. I don't want to be selling resistance. I'm just not going to be in the market. For me, it makes no sense to trade this at all. So this can go sideways. This can break down and then I'm going to buy it, or this can break out and then I'm going to be sad, but still probably buy it. So that's kind of like my view on this thing. But if you look at the higher time frames, right, this is starting to look really, really fucking bad. Like no one can tell me that this is like bullish market structure. It's just completely broke to the downside. And like, if this is the best bounce that we can get off of the only support that we have, I mean, it's not going to get me excited. This just looks like it's rounding out and just readying itself for the next kind of spill down. So not the biggest fan of this. I'm just going to be staying out.
Yeah. I don't think it's unfair. I do think, all right, so I'll show you. This is just, moving average thing. So take it for what it's worth. Yesterday, it could just be like what it was a few days ago. So what I'm really looking for, a recovery of the 20-day moving average, basically. Yesterday, we closed above it. Today, we're sitting under it. Looks like doo-doo. If we recover the daily, and if we close above 34.3, 4, 5, the stronger the better in that case, that would be kind of the first like close above and then not instant rejection of since here, which was a fake out. But prior to that, we were at the highs, historically, it's one of my kind of preferred trades of trend reversal and potential upside. So you get that kind of daily close, then you get a push above it. It looks like we're not going to do that if you're just assuming what we're going to do, 9 hours before the daily close. So we have 9 hours in my mind to get to like 34.5. If we don't, then crab or down, sure, still looks like the most likely path. But that's kind of my one rebuttal to that. Looking at purely trying to get a hint from like some attempt at trend reversal when what we really have is kind of, as you noted multiple times recently, is just the crab is tightening,
Yeah.
And the tightening crab is just, it makes it a challenge. Partly because, people like me are like, oh, well, the crab broke down. Now I will sell. And Don's like, oop, look, crab is still in play. And I will just, keep playing the same, the same levels, So like I'm playing, somebody like me says, let's play the breakdown. And you say, no, we will crab. I'll buy 31 and sell it at 34 or something like that. It's just peak frustration, right?
Yeah.
So I find this all very annoying. However, my like broader scope is I have these red lines at 24 and 42 because I think actually both of these are going to hit. I just don't know which one hits first. And that frustrates me.
Oh, I would love for it to hit 24 and then 42. I think that's like one of the most obvious trades to take if that should be the case. Like if we break down here and we get to buy 24K, I mean, I'm going to. And then I think there's like almost a 2x in there before you have any worries about the complacency bounce, shoulder, whatever. Let's say this does just rug pull us in the course of this week, right? Just breaks down, goes like somewhere into like the low 20s. I think that would probably lead to quite the aggressive bounce. And I would try to play it into 40K.
Yeah.
Like I would try to buy anywhere into like the 24 to 20K region, like anywhere there, it's pretty good to me. And I try to sell back into the 40Ks. I think this is just going to be like a lot of suffering, even if it breaks out. If this breaks out to the upside, you're going to see people be super, super bullish again, and then it's going to break down again. If it breaks to the downside, it's going to go this. Yeah.
Is it weird that whichever way it breaks and like trends first, it just makes me feel more biased towards the other way. Like if it breaks down, like you said, if you get 24K, it makes me a little more long-term bullish because I do think your 24 to 42 is a big run, right?
Yeah.
If it goes to 42, that's nice now, but then it's like, okay, well now we got to backfill this sucker even worse than before. So that dump really hurts. I don't know which is more painful. And I feel like whichever one is more painful is probably the direction we're going to go.
Yeah, I think honestly, if it goes to 42K first and then to 20-ish, I would not want to be buying it, because then like this legitimately would look like a market cycle top, like complete like complacency shoulder, everything. And that point, like I'd be considering like a 1, 2, 3 year bear market following after that, and that's not what I want to be buying. Like for a bounce maybe, but for a swing play, no. Like if this goes down and then goes up, there's a good chance that we've actually just bottomed, I think.
Right.
But if we do the opposite, it's like, okay, there's a good chance that the cycle is just done and we're going to be in for shitty price action like this, which, I mean...
So are we saying that me wanting 42 actually makes me more bearish than you wanting 24?
Yeah, I mean, at least like for me, like price action wise, there's a good chance that like it going up and then down would be much, much more bearish than the other way around.
Yeah. Josh, you want to give us the cloud view? I think.
Yeah. Let's share the screen.
The chat wants the cloud. They're talking edge to edge. They got some hopium in their veins over there in the chat today.
So look, I think we have a chance. I think the good part of it, here's the silver lining. If we break up or break down, like you said, everybody kind of knows what to do because you know it's going to be continuation one way or the other, right? 35 is definitely the level on the 12-hour cloud that says if we break that with a bullish TK across, we have a chance at 40 to 44 to 47. You know, it depends on how things look.
Since you're not.
What? I am sharing it.
Nope.
I am on Zoom. It's sharing. Short Zoom, I guess.
Yeah, short Zoom. I'm just seeing Don's screen, so I'm.
It literally says you are screen sharing.
Don,
you don't see it?
Don, what do you see?
Let me see.
Do you see yourself sharing or Josh?
Yeah, I see myself sharing.
Yeah, I see.
I can stop sharing and then Josh tries it. Should I?
Oh, this is what I broke. It was my fault. Okay, now you can do it. All right, Josh, now share.
Okay. You see now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is good content. All right, now you're good. Now you're good.
All right,
this is my fault. I pressed the wrong button. I need more coffee.
Okay, this is the 12-hour cloud. We're currently, this key tune is flat as flat can be, which says there's zero momentum. Okay, and if we cross this bullish, if this TK lines cross bullish, with price in the cloud, that is an edge activation, and you have your three levels here, 40, 44, 47. It doesn't say we're going to go to those levels. It just says those are the possible targets, okay?
But really, this says don't even do anything until it like clears the Kijun, because there's not any room between the bottom of the cloud and the Kijun or anything.
Correct. So yeah, I see people looking at that, tweeting at me. I'm also looking at the 8-hour, which is another way to look at this edge-to-edge move just with the entry.
Mm-hmm.
So at 35, again, if we're above 35, everybody knows what to do. At least I know what to do. So those are the two things I'm looking at for BTC, other than the Bollinger Bands and Bollinger Band width. So we're currently tighter than we've been since October 2020. Q3 is always usually sideways, though. That's the thing. Look at last Q3. You remember this? Sideways for a month.
I do remember it. It was glorious.
Q3 before that was the top. The Q3 before that had some price action, but essentially just sideways.
Can I provide some bearish cloud FUD?
Sure.
The weekly Kijun, which has historically been pretty good at saying like bull market is over, looks like total failure to me right now. Like it just looks absolute garbage. Like it consolidated around and then lost the Kijun. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree. But when the thing is, when we're ranging, it's hard to take the cloud as seriously as when we're moving. Even like this 2019 example is great too, because it's like, oh, weekly breakout, we're so bullish, right? But not really, because we're just ranging, you know?
Yeah.
The cloud does best when we're moving, when we're not ranging. And this is the daily, which
Keijin is just getting lower and lower.
again tells you 40, tells you 47. One thing that this reminds me of is this 2019 stuff. We just kind of did a bunch of nonsense on the daily. Keijin came way down, and then we eventually got into the cloud, but that took, you know, like 2 months to actually do that. And then even after that, it took another month to break out. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get bullish or bearish until cloud tells me to, until Bollinger Bands tell me to. Until we're above or below Bollinger Bands, I don't think there's anything to do necessarily. 32, 36 on the Bollinger Band is the upside.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned until we break up or break down. You know, we break, then everybody knows what to do. It's just that simple.
You know what frustrates me about this market, Bitcoin in particular, is that if I were looking at this and it were a stock, I would not buy it. You know, like there's no way I'm buying this if this is a stock. Mm-hmm. But in crypto, it's either like you're in or you're out, right? Like it's cash, or it's like Bitcoin has to show strength. There's not a whole lot of in between. There are short periods of time where, you know, like something could look weak and alts run, like you talked about before, Don. But like for the most part, you need Bitcoin to show strength, or else like there's really no decent trading anywhere. So when it does this like sideways nothing, but not showing like continuation sideways to the upside, it just looks more like continuation sideways to the downside, or crab. It does, like there's not there's no confirmation to scream upside yet. And if this were a stock, I would not want it, and therefore being in crypto, it frustrates me because I want to be able to trade crypto, but it seems like consensus tells you to the sidelines are the better place to be at the moment, and it frustrates me.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's been one of the worst places to have your money this year, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. Because
on the year, it's like flat.
Yeah.
Almost exactly. I think what was the yearly open? 29K.
Yeah.
So the yearly open is essentially providing that support, which is troubling.
Yeah, even more so if you compare it to the traditional markets, which are like up, like what?
Super
like,
moon.
Yeah. Quite a bit.
Here's another thing with the pitchfork. Again, I agree with you. If you think we're going to break down, I'd open a tiny short. If you think we're going to break up, I'd open a tiny long. But I wouldn't be all in one way or the other, because there's you could say this is bearish, but then wake up one day and like, oh, we're at 35, we're at 37. What's going on, right? Like that's the market right now. It could go either way until volumes come back. This is stamped, so I don't really have volume to begin with, but
yeah.
Until volumes come back, anything can happen. So yeah, this is a pitchfork, and if we break this blue line, we're going to Crab Town.
Carlos in the chat said, "Don't stray, just DCA," and I think it's not bad. However, I think that's a decent philosophy if you're out. If you're already DCA'd in, if you will, you're just looking at it like, where do I change my mind, or do you just continue like, you know, add more fiat or whatever? But if you like, imagine if you're in, now you're at this decision point, right? Like, am I going to get trapped or not? And how much downside or how much upside is there? And that's why I was prefacing with the 24K and 42K. I think there's about $9,000 each way, except if you choose wrong, or if you choose at if you do the opposite at the tail end, right? Like you sell 24K and then it goes 42K, then you miss a ton. Or you buy 40K because it's confirmation of 50K or something, thinking like that, and that's where it's toppy. Like, there's still a lot to be made or lost here. But at the very moment, you're just you're putting your putting your bet on heads or tails. And what we're trying to figure out is there a greater likelihood of heads or tails? Do y'all think this is a 50-50 situation, or is it
No.
You think it's a higher probability down, basically?
Yeah, I think it's much more probable. Like, we've been going sideways after breakdown. We're just chilling in a support that we shouldn't be chilling in. So for me, like, there's a greater chance that this breaks down. In general, I think, like, if I had to make out worst case, best case scenarios, I think, like, worst case 14K, best case, like, 100, 110. So as long as that's, like, in my mind anyway, if that's still skewed to I'm going to lose more when I'm in than I'm going to make when I'm not, then I'm just going to be like, I'd much rather stay out.
Yeah.
But that can change real quickly, right? If we kind of break 38K, I think there's a good chance we head higher, towards like the mid 40s, 50s, maybe even. And then we can have another discussion. But it's really, really difficult right now because, like, all the confirmation trades that have been, like, on the table have just been fake outs. And I mean, that's just kind of a sign of the crab. Everyone is going to get wrecked until, like, we start trending again. So if you're kind of betting on the crab ending, you kind of have to trust the breakout. And that's more often than not during crab movements going to lead to you getting fucked. So it's like, this is like the worst time to trade. The only problem with that is that there's going to be one point where it starts turning around and no one really knows where that is. And Bitcoin tends to just run away from that point, right? Be that at like 24K, be that like, maybe we already had it at 28K, right, with the first dip, and it's just going to start running at some point. So you have to be flexible, but if you're too flexible and just start flip-flopping every time, like, we go up or down, you're going to lose your shirt. So it's really, really difficult, I think.
I feel like this is extraordinary complacency, but is this one of the best places where you could actually be, like, kind of in a half cash spot situation, and you just know you're not going to catch all of the upside, of course. Nice one, Josh. Like, you're not going to catch all of the upside, but you won't get, you won't miss it completely if it breaks up. And if it breaks down, you'll be able to kind of average down if you do believe pretty strongly that something around 24 is going to be a bottom. And of course, you'll be underwater on half of it, but you will have something to buy the dip with. Is that too complacent, or do you think that's a reasonable strategy?
I think it's reasonable. I mean, in general, like, it all depends on kind of where you're coming from, right? Like, that's a discussion I think that we have way too little. Like, whether you're a trader or you're an investor or you're kind of a mix of both. Because if you're a mix of both, right, it's really hard to kind of make good decisions when you're both a trader and an investor. But still, you kind of have to, like, if you're both, you have to have some money in the market, right? And if you're just a trader and you don't really care if Bitcoin goes up to 100K or down to 10, you just want to make money, it's a little bit of a different game, because then you can just kind of chill. So it all depends on kind of what you're in the market for, right? If you want to be accumulating as much Bitcoin or as much crypto as you cannot really take the chance to be entirely out, because this can run at any point, right? It's not like just because it's like bearish right now, it can't just go up like 10 grand tomorrow if like whatever, something happens, right? We've had a bunch of stuff. Like if you remember back to like the China pump that we've had back in, when was that? Like October of 19, where it just went up in like basically 2 days. Like, yeah, how much was
you
that?
said
like
something about adopting blockchain in China. How far they've come?
Well, they are going to adopt it, but for their own currency, you know.
I wanted to show one other chart, and this is, again, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate to myself here, because I am in. I should to highlight that. However, my key indicator that I've talked about that I ignored on Bitcoin, and recall I ignored it on Bitcoin because Ethereum was mooning. Well, now on Ethereum, it is telling me, based on the 20 week, to sideline myself.
Oh, wow, that looks gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, this is where it gets kind of fun. At the same time, the 200 day. So 20 week and 200 day are my two like market things, right? The 200 day says we are like right off of this kind of supports, and maybe we'll just, there's this kind of chance that you just kind of ride out like that, right? Like just struggle for a while, or bounce off of it or whatever. But it's basically telling you don't get out above 2K. If it breaks 2K, get out. This interesting confluence puts me in a funky little position, because do you wait until that prior weekly is breached with a weekly close? Well, Bitcoin or crypto is like we could be at 1,500 on the weekly close, if it breaks down from that. Yeah. So do you get a 4-hour close or a daily close below that 2,000 mark, and then you escape? But on a weekly basis, this looks quite terrifying. And yeah, so I'm kind of in a pickle. I don't know what to do. I am truly torn.
I think if you're in, you have to start cutting at 32 for BTC, and you definitely have to start cutting at 2 for ETH. Like, even if it's not a daily, even if it's not a weekly,
you just kind of take your
just have to
and assume that you might get chopped up and have to re-enter if it confirms as a bottom or something.
Yeah, because like you said, if we wait, then we could be at 15 at the time.
There's a minus 25% day, and you're just, incredibly sad.
Yeah. I mean, we still have this macro head and shoulders on BTC. We still have this micro head and shoulders here, which could also be a falling wedge bull div, depending on how you want to look at this, which could also be like coffee and accumulation, which could also be like coffee and bearish continuation. We just need something to happen before, this can be too many things. I think default is bearish because it's below the 200, it's below the cloud.
And bearish continuation. We keep making lower highs, on Bitcoin we make equal lows, which that is problematic in general.
We're where's my chart? We're still ranging though, so it's like I don't really care so much. But yeah, volume has to come back, because if volume is nothing, we can just drift. Like we'll see us like with a boat without a motor in the ocean. We'll just start drifting below 30, drifting below 27. That's what we don't want, definitely.
If I was like anti-crypto, I'd look at this and be like, yeah, it's going to zero.
Yeah, Michael Burry is very happy right now, I think, with his short, if he's actually short. But yeah, I mean, this is technically a bull div, right? We're making lower lows with higher RSI.
It's like RSI compression stuff. I don't like that either. This is my problem. It's like if we go up $1,000, I'll turn bullish. Like this is just what Don was talking about.
That's the range.
The crab will eat you.
It's literally a Bollinger Band. It's like you do nothing until you break above or below. They can keep contracting. Let them do their thing. Yeah, that's really it for BTC. ETH is actually not as tight on the Bollinger Band still. They've got some time. I had them on here somewhere. There we go. But it's still above the 20 daily, sort of.
So I think in general, sorry to interrupt. I think in general, like the traders are probably going to do worse than the investors here. Like if you buy as an investment, like I'm reasonably certain that you're going to be able to sell higher at some point. If you're buying as a trader here with an invalidation, I mean, where the fuck do you stop out? And will you just sell to me? Because I mean, that might happen, right? You buy here, you get stopped out below like 28, 20, whatever, 27.
And then it reverses on you.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be buying, right? So it's like, it's this terrible situation to be in as a trader, because there's no easy invalidation, and there's like on both sides, like even if you're neutral here, it's terrifying, right? And I mean, I'm starting to notice this too, because like if this goes to 40K, I mean, is the bear market kind of theory invalidated? I wouldn't say so, right? But I'd be troubled to say that that's like bearish movement, right? So it's like, normally I'm pretty certain, okay, if we're going to this and this point, which is straight up bullish, and if we're going down there or like break this with bearish, but right now it's really, really hard to call. So it's like, if you're bullish in general as an investor, you buy, and if you're bearish, you sell. And then, I mean, you just pray. Like this sucks. I mean, it's how it is.
Yeah, it's just painful.
You just put scaled orders down to 19K. You know, the orders get bigger the farther down we go, and that's as an investor, that's how I would play this. As a trader, I would watch the B bands in the cloud on both ETH and BTC. ETH is like squeezing between the 50 and the 200 on the daily.
I feel like the only way though to not have a big drawdown or a big missed opportunity cost is to be out. Well, you have the opportunity cost anyway. I'm sorry, be either out or in. You know what I mean? Like, make your bet, but your chances of losing a lot more is much higher in that case. Either way, right?
Well, you could also straddle, which is open a long and a short at the same time, right? Or some options play, whatever that is.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that with actual. I don't understand how that would possibly be beneficial with margin, but for an option straddle, sure, unless we just crab forever. And also, most people don't have access to those. But yeah,
there's a move contract. I don't know. Is it on FTX?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you have access to FTX, you probably have access to either FTX options or Deribit options. Maybe you could do CME options. I've never actually tried to do CME options. Have either of y'all done that?
No. But I mean, with regards to the move stuff, there's only one person that is in a fund that I know that makes money with move, and that's CL. And I mean, I don't know anyone else. Like, most people just bleed out there. I can't recommend. I mean, I'm pretty good with like reading like crab, or like this is gonna go sideways for a little bit longer. But even though that's something I'm relatively good at, I don't want to be there. Like, it's not the contract that I want to be trading.
Yeah.
That's fair. You could say it's unlikely though that we can only squeeze so far historically before this thing actually moves.
One other implement here in terms of what's going on. You talked about the legacy market going up a lot. I do wonder if legacy is getting tired, if that would be a big driver on further downside for crypto, because to me, legacy looks quite extended. One of the things that I find interesting is, especially like if you look at all these wicks on IWM, which is the Russell 2000, it seems like it could break up, but to me, it looks like the value rotation that occurred over time has really settled down and is not looking, doesn't have significant strength. Also, a lot of these like hyped ETFs like ARK, they got pummeled, recovered, and it looks like a complacency bounce to me here. And these hold some of the biggest, they hold a lot of GBTC crypto type stuff in ARK, but also like Tesla and some of the like retail stocks of lore, They bought a crap load of Coinbase. Like, there's a lot of crypto implied stuff in this ARK fund, and ARK looks terrible. Like, I'm there's no chance I'm a buyer of something like that. What's been holding the market up on the Qs has been this Amazon breakout that we've talked about on the show. Had a huge thrust on the weekly last week. But if that's some kind of fake out or gets retested, that's another thing that could drag the Qs. And you look at the Qs, they look like they blew off the top and want to come retest the bottom side. The reason I bring all this up, if we're going to have that push to 24 and then get bullish, I could imagine it coinciding with a couple of weeks of, like downside and panic in the legacy markets. Get that dump in Bitcoin, and then like everybody's like, oh wait, we're not dying. Up we go again on legacy, recovery on Bitcoin, etc. Just a gut feeling though there.
I like it. The thing is, what I've been noticing is that whenever legacy has been strong, Bitcoin's been going sideways.
Which is very problematic.
Yeah, and then whenever like legacy's been dumping, that's led to Bitcoin dumping as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, you have legacy going up, and then like Bitcoin tries to, and then you see like you can see it in the chart how the people that try to play like the correlation just get fucked, completely rolled over. And then you see like legacy go down, and then everyone that plays the correlation to downside is printing. So it just feels like crypto's been just trading as a weaker legacy market, which is the one thing that we don't want to have, right? Don't know why, but that's kind of how I see it right now.
Yeah. One other thing I'm kind of looking through is, my favorite play of late has basically been that DeFi reflexivity of DeFi recovers while other stuff goes sideways. DeFi moves first. Some of these, to be honest, look like they're slowing down. I hate to say that because I'm in. But like synthetics was one of my favorites, and it looks like this is a little bit of a weaker high here, and it's not quite into where I want it to go, up at 15. Look at some of the others, and they're already starting to roll over. Like if you look at Balancer, Sushi is showing some weakness here, which I don't like because I own it. If you go to Wi-Fi, it looks like it never even really got off the ground on a bounce. Aave showed some strength this morning, but is fading it. We don't have these daily closes or anything yet, but these also just kind of worry me that momentum is lagging early in the week here. This is all the type of thing. Like we could go down here, test this 200 on ETH, and then like 2 days from now, we feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got so bearish. This is the problem with intra-week, intra-day, trying to play how you feel. This is how you get crabbed. I'm not saying any of that, but just on the whole, I really wanted to see confirmation on a weekly open like Monday, this Monday, and we're not getting it. We're fulfilling, Don, your kind of prophecy of have a crappy pump on the weekend and fade it on Monday and then set the tone for the week. All of that concerns me. So like we're seeing kind of weakness across the board. It's not like there's any like pocket where it's like, oh yeah, look at that strength. How exciting. Except for maybe in NFTs. And I don't know if that just makes me more bearish. Anyway, what do you have to add to that?
I think that's a pretty perfect roundup of the whole situation. I mean, honestly, I don't want to be, and I can quickly screen share. Please. So I don't want to be too bearish while we're chilling at support, right? Like the one thing that I do hate is when it looks worse at support, right? It's always the case. And we are kind of near support on Bitcoin on the daily. And you look at ETH, BTC, and then, that was actually the right one. Then we're very, very close to support on that front as well. And you look at ETH USD, and we're just chilling on support there as well, right? So if you want to be bullish, this is the time to be bullish. It's just if you're wrong, you're just gonna lose. Like
you're gonna get that little
smoke
job -5%.
Yeah, you're gonna get
in like seconds.
And then -20% in the following day. I think that's what you're kind of signing up for. Like if you buy the support, targeting resistance, right? That's decent play with a stop loss down here. If the problem is, if you're wrong, your stop loss is going to get triggered in a day, basically. And you're going to have to be fine with that. So it's really, really difficult to be bearish here. For me, in general, like, I'm not really, like, looking at this daily is not showing me anything, really. Like, it's not saying, okay, this wants to break up or down. It's just like when I look at the weekly, I'm like, okay, this is just the weekly, fucking miserable.
The weekly looks real bad.
Yeah.
If the weekly closed right there, it would be very, very, very ugly.
Yeah, it just looks like it wants to accelerate to me. Like this is the typical kind of Bitcoin thing to do where it starts rounding out and then just like puts in bigger candle after bigger candle after bigger candle.
Finds its bottom.
And then bottoms. Yeah, that's the good thing. Like if this breaks down, I think we're at least going to find like a bottom for a couple months. Not entirely sure if that's going to be the bottom forever, but I still want to be buying it, right? So if it breaks down, I think there's a very, very high chance that that's actually going to be leading to a big bounce. So
why,
at least something to look forward to.
Why are we in agreement, Don, about the 24K level? Because it doesn't exist on that weekly, but it's just like in the middle of a turbo pump, basically. But on
the reason
daily, there's a little bit of a nugget there, right?
Yeah. So the reason why I like 24, and I mean, you're gonna hate hearing this, because like I'm expecting a lot of pain, but yeah, 24 is like roughly a daily level. But that's not necessarily because I'm interested in it. Like I think in general, like this is just an area where you get like you're far enough away from like the lows here that you liquidate whoever can get liquidated, and then panic everyone else. And then I think we're going to be bouncing probably like towards 40K. And there's a good chance, I think, that we might actually just get rejected there, head back down again to 20 and then go up.
The broader crab. We go from the small crab to the big crab.
Yeah. And I think like, honestly, like this would fucking suck.
Yeah.
And I'm just expecting like the market to suck for a long while.
You know, this looks like after the 2014 or 2019 breakdown and then like leading into COVID, the way that we chopped around back there. So we broke down from that triangle that everybody was bullish on right there. And then we just like we went down and up at like the most seemingly weird places until we nuked into COVID.
That was all China. That was when the yuan broke 7 in that triangle.
Yeah, that push back up was literally, that's the 2 days of right there. Yep. That's the 2 or 3 days of the China blockchain announcement, and it got faded like crazy. But then it bottomed, it made new lows, and then it basically bottomed right there, and it just made it so painful throughout that period, I recall. And then COVID was almost like a relief if you survived it, right? Like the COVID dump, because it finally was like, okay, well, that was the low. It was like felt very clear that was the low. But everything to the left of that, I feel like we could do now and do this kind of like massive, disgusting range. That's quite hard to trade. Like if you're a pattern trader, that's quite hard to trade. If you're a level to level trader, that's quite hard to trade. It's like what hurts people the most,
Yeah. It just feels similar, dude.
There's so much.
10K in 2 weeks, Dodd just said.
No, I'm not expecting anything. I'm expecting like pain. I'm not expecting any crazy targets because, who the fuck knows? Like if this breaks down and goes crazy, I'll be there to buy anything that goes like way too crazy. I don't think there's any good part in being in this market and not expecting it to completely go nuts, either to the up or the downside, right? This goes up much higher than we always think, and then does the same on the downside. So
I think 100K in Q4 is still possible, regardless of what we do in Q3.
Wow,
if we go to 20. I think if we break down, we go to 20. I don't think 24 is going to hold, but I also think even if we go to 20 in Q4, it's potentially possible for 100K.
I don't see how that's possible.
Same.
Potentially possible. It's crypto, man. Never say impossible.
That's true, but
it seems crazy to me.
There would be so much to work through, like 50 to 60, There's so much to work through there.
You said something that I like. You said if we break down, is there even anybody to liquidate? And looking at open interest across the board, it's basically equal to what it was last time we were in this level. It hasn't really changed.
I need to get going here in a second, but I heard that Binance open interest is like mooning. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah, but it's like USDT.
Yeah, so are they long? Are they long or short or what? I guess there's.
Well, the OKEx and Huobi people are moving to either Binance or Bitfinex, right? Like, where else do they go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been told that
Binance is under pressure from China to kind of kick off the Chinese people there too.
Yeah, the regulatory pressure is hotter
100%.
now than it's been in years. It seems like regulatory pressure is pretty severe. All right. Final thoughts. Up or down a week from now?
You gotta wait for the breakout. You gotta trade the breakout, and if you get stopped out, you gotta have a plan. That's the biggest thing. That's my message for this week: is have a plan. Don't freeze up if we break up or down. Know what to do.
I like it. For me, I think there's a good chance that we break down, greater than 50%, I think. And that is including going sideways, just because, I mean, this just looks like it's going to go roll over. But I could be wrong there, and we just bounce from like the lower boundary again. Like if you want to be bidding anything on Bitcoin, I think it's like 32K again. And then your target has to be 38K, at least like anything near price. I'm not going to do it. Like I said, I'm going to be like looking at 24. If I don't see any strength there, I'm going to move down to 20K. Yeah, leaning bearish still doesn't really make much sense to me to do anything really. Like if you have like a summer like this one after having been locked down for so long, why not just enjoy it and then come back in the winter again? Yeah,
I don't think that's unfair. I think what I want now is to wait on a daily close closer to 35K. I think that's a little tighter, but for my personal systems, at least where those moving averages are now, the daily levels, maybe like 35.4, where there was a prior daily, that would be like the first daily high, like new daily high in a while. And it would give me some confidence. So like 35 to 42 is not a terrible trade. And the problem is the downside is so severe. Like from here to 42 is not a great return. You know what I mean? If the downside is 24. So if I don't stop out the way that I intend, then it just kind of sucks. Like the RR sucks, as you show there. So I think, and what I also showed on Ethereum, it's telling me I need to be sidelined. So I think, I will probably be making my decision with today's daily close of what I want to do. And if we get destroyed before today's daily close, then I'll have to take my lump within the wick, or, or I'll be the wick, or who knows what, it'll catch me. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out between now and the end of the day. I think we're actually going to make the move this week, one way or the other. I don't know which way. I'm completely torn. I could
should long the move contract.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to be long volatility. I don't have a way to do it very well. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents. Thanks for being here, y'all. I know that's not like the best outcome, but we're
that's what it is, man.
The crab makes it hard. Just how it is. Go to I need the song. weeklyopen.com/blockfolio. You can capitulate right there. Send that money straight to your bank. If you're still in mini multiples on the year, why not? Or if you think this is going to 50, if our bearishness is your reason to buy, do it on Blockfolio. weeklyopen.com/blockfolio. Thanks for being with us, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.